Peter, the 3 words, I'm going to write this down. If you can remember, 3 words is kind of like really over and over again in 1 Peter. One is submission. He teaches submission. And that means you willingly, as a Christian, put yourself under another's authority. It's a willingness to do so. It's a sacrifice, a living sacrifice that we have. So if you can remember that about submission, Christian submission, I'm kind of losing my, I guess it's on my end, I'm not sure. But anyway, you can think about that in a way that is healthy and good. Because sometimes people want to dominate, use that word submission. And yes, it is the commandment of the Lord, it is the word of the Lord for us. But if you read in context, it really has to do on your Christian liberty, my Christian liberty, that yes, I can choose to submit or not to submit. To be like Christ is to submit. And so I'm breaking up. I don't know if it's on my end or not, but if I need to change my situation, I can. And everything. So I don't want to mess somebody up on their hearing. So here he's talking to the wives. So you got the first word I gave you was submission. The other one is suffering. 1 Peter talks a whole lot about suffering. In fact, if you put the 2 together, you'll find out living that submissive life sometimes means that you put up with some suffering that you might normally would put up with. That you're willing to do it again, that's sacrifice. So you got submission, you got suffering, and you got another word called hope. And that's what helps you stay on course. You know that God is going to bless you for doing what is the right thing to do here in this life and in the life to come. So you sow in hope, right? You reap in joy. So that's what you're doing here. So the wives, he tells them, first of all, here's the Christian. Can I use another phrase? Sanctified way that should be with us, okay? A lot of women take offense to this. Sometimes we kind of laugh about it because of the idea of women being submissive. And they're not always so willing to go that route. It's like, you can be the head, but I'm going to be the neck that turns you, or whatever we call it. But in the idea here that Peter's telling us the example before other people, this is the way we should be living. That the wives are to be subjection to their own husband. And it's been that way from the beginning, when God was in the garden. I don't know if y'all want to go through some verse references, but we can kind of do that. So, nod head one way or the other. You rather take some time to look at verse 2 reference. Y'all okay with that? Okay. All right, so let's do that. Look at Genesis 3:16. All the way to the front of the Bible, of course. And you'll find there in the garden, after Adam and Eve has sinned, and now they're being confronted, and God is passing sentence on them for that sin. Genesis 3:16. And there's Satan, or wherever it is on the board. Okay? It says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to the husband, and he shall rule over thee. This is God's standard. People think, well, you're going back in the old dark ages now. Well, really you're not, because in Peter's day, women were treated a lot worse than you think. A lot of them were treated like property. They were slaves or whatever. And basically, again, property that can be bought, sold, traded, handled any way you want to. And so the women's social status was really low back in those days that Peter's talking about. The Bible, the New Testament, actually exalts the position of a wife And I hope you see that tonight. I really do. I make fun a little bit, but honestly, the Bible really exalts this a whole lot. So here he's talking about this whole setting up your marriage and how you should live it in front of other people. And this is subjection, living in subjection to your own husband. Again, it's a willingness to do so. If you obey not the word, that means if they're not saved, they may also, without the word, be won by the conversation of the wives. This is a key verse. Because what he's saying here, sometimes you can win, you can do more winning people to the Lord sometimes by not so much about what you preach, but how you live. And that goes still strong today. Because you say one thing, but your life is going to make the biggest impact. That's what people watch and see. And a lot of times we don't get that. We do just the opposite. We say, then we just do as we please. And it should be the opposite. I like what he said here, maybe also one without the word to be a word. So you don't have to be preaching. Amen. Got background music. I got heaven singing with me tonight. So brother, I think, is playing the music for us. But anyway, here's what we got going on. And I want to say something else. I want you to look at 1 Corinthians 7:16. 1 Corinthians 7:16. This is tough. And I hate to do this because I don't discourage anybody from believing about their spouse getting saved. And I think you've got to have some faith and work toward that goal. But this is kind of a reality verse. 1 Corinthians 7:16. Now, I just want to show you that because you can't blame God. If your spouse don't get saved, you can't blame God and say, well, he didn't keep his promise. No, everybody has a free will to choose. And yes, God works. I believe God answered prayer by working on those people and giving them all types of mercy and chances to receive Him just because of our prayers and our desire to see Him saved. But look at verse 16, 1 Corinthians 7:16. He says, for what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband, or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? See it? So it's still a free will to choose to be saved. There's no X's, there's no special formulas or anything else. You can't control the situation when it comes to certain things, especially when people are making a decision to follow the Lord. But the Bible does say this, and I think it's in the case, especially if a saved person is married to an unsaved person. Probably what happened, they both might have been unsaved. One of them gets saved. And I believe the Bible says that's still a sanctified marriage in the sight of God. God looks at that as a holy, just still legitimate marriage in heaven. The Bible says the unbelieving spouse will be sanctified by the other, which means it's been in God's sight holy marriage, and heaven approves, or considers them as husband and wife. Okay, so the idea is, again, while they hold your chaste conversation, your pure conversation, coupled with fear. Again, this fear, I think, is not a slavish fear, but it's respect. It's showing honor to the husband. If I can say anything on personal comment, that is so powerful. As a man, I can tell you, sisters, right now, that God has so designed the man to be the head of the house. And I'm going to get into more of that here in a minute. But if you understand this, when you honor your husband right, you make him so much better of a man than he could possibly otherwise be. You just can't imagine how important that is to your own well-being as well as to his. So God knows what he's doing. And so we're going to get into the next couple of verses. Might be a good discussion. Verses coming up. Verse 3, talking about the adornment of the wife. Okay? Who's adorning? Let it not be the outward adorning of plaiting the hair or wearing of gold is good on apparel. let it be the hidden man in the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. We'll look at the verse here. Let's go to 1 Timothy, I believe it's 2:9. Yeah, 1 Timothy 2:9. I read 1 Peter this time, and I just see so much of Paul that Peter quotes from when he's doing this. It's amazing. And when you see this, you'll see the same thing. It's almost like he's quoting him verbatim in this. He says, like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, not with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold pearls or costly array, but that which becometh women professing godliness with good works. So here's what he's talking about. He's saying, so I think this is a good place of discussion myself. So if I'm going to get in trouble with heaven, I want y'all to get in trouble with heaven. Okay, I won't be by myself. So maybe our chances of getting mercy will be greater if both of us are guilty of something. But, the Church of God, when I come into the Church of God, there's a change happening from the old to the new. And there was a time when, of course, the ladies only had the long dresses. They didn't cut their hair. I know there's still a lot of people, the ladies in churches, that do that. The jewelry, no jewelry, or no makeup, and some things of that nature. So, how do you guys read this? I guess that's what I want to ask, so I won't be in trouble. How do y'all read this? What do y'all think is? What's your comment, ladies?
Well, I would avoid anybody in here. I'm happy, so, I think if God convicts me and tells me don't, I will leave it alone. But until he tells me, I'm aware of it, but I think I feel better in myself if I have a little something on it, okay? I don't think I overdo it. I hope I ain't overdo it, but I like big jewelry. I like nice big rings. So I've been praying this week because I knew you were speaking about this, and I don't be doing what God don't want me to be doing, you know.
You sound guilty. I'm not kidding.
Well, I might be. I ain't never said I was perfect, okay?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm not trying to point nobody out. I'm just saying, how do you judge this? How do you think what's right? How do you go about it? What's your standard? How do you read this?
I think you can be dogmatic. I see most people that do without all of it and think they're so holy and godly. And to me, they miss the boat far more worse. I mean,
Yeah. Let me ask you again. What's your standard? How do you have a standard in your mind, or does anything go, or?
No, because I like a whole lot of it. I like a lot of jewelry. I just like jewelry, you know.
So it's hard to cut these two verses.
No, because it's black and white in there. There's no,
That's what I'm saying. How would you read this? What would be the outward ornament of plaiting the hair? How would you read that? What should be your understanding of that? Would it be wrong to plait your hair?
I don't think it's wrong, but I think what God is saying here is, or what Peter is saying, that we should not look for our outward appearance to draw men or women to God. We should look for that inner man, that inner beauty to come out because it's God shining through us. That's the way I read that, and that's what I look at. I'm like Sissy, I do wear jewelry, and I got it on tonight. I don't wear makeup, but it's, I don't do it for the purpose of trying to draw anyone to me. I'm hoping that God shines through me, and that's what people see in me.
I don't do it to try to be a flirt or anything like that. I do call myself trying to look nice, not a whole lot on that. I want to look nice. If I'm going to go out in public, and you see me at home, but if I go out in public, I just want to look nice.
Okay, let me put it another way to you.
Okay.
All right. And I know where you're coming from. I think that's a good way to start looking at it. If he had not made a list You know what I'm talking about? He made a list. Who's started out, that'd be that outward garment. Number 1, plaiting the hair. Number 2, wearing the gold. Number 3, putting on apparel. So I think the way I would like to see this come tonight is understand what he means by these things. Because as he's making a list here, then he's saying what you're saying, but important is on the inward person. He's saying that, but he's also saying, don't let it be this other.
Right.
Am I reading it that way?
Yes.
I mean, I read it and tried to pull for y'all's favor, but it just, I got to understand it like it is. In 1 Timothy 2:9, look at it, see, it's saying the same thing. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. So you can't just scratch that away. He gives you a list. Modest apparel, with shamefacedness, with sobriety, and not broided hair or gold, pearl, or costly ring. So he gives you a list. So he is saying something to us. Let me see if I can tell you what I like y'all to kind of, because I'm going to try to leave it in y'all's minds, because I think there's a lot of room here for understanding. I'm thinking, like you're saying, you can be so strict on some things that you get to emphasizing the wrong things. And then everything comes about how I look, how I dress. And then you still miss the point of your heart on the inside. So, let's begin with the heart. But the heart, if you begin with the heart's going to manifest itself on the outside. So if you've got this spirit, let's start with that then, the heart. The ornament of a meek and quiet spirit.
I ain't got that either, brother. It's not good on me.
I got a joke. It's not a joke, but it's kind of funny to me. I finally figured out why Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. I found the biblical reference of that. It's in Proverbs 31, where it says, a virtuous woman who can find. He never did find her. So he tried 1,000 times, and he just didn't find her.
They don't exist, brother.
I didn't say they don't exist, but there might be one in a million instead of one in 1,000. I don't know. But anyway, the meek and quiet spirit. Begin with that. What's a meek spirit? What would you consider meekness?
Kind, sweet, low and hungry.
Not talking that, not arguing.
Well, this is good. Y'all write this down.
We don't know nobody like that.
You know, again. I know about 300 concubines coming up.
Nancy Jones ain't here, she's not.
I was going to say Nancy Johns is the one
Nancy
on my
Jones
mind.
and Donna Beard may be those people. But I don't know if the rest of us.
What's your definition of meek?
I thought it always meant power under control.
Okay, but how do you translate that into this verse?
Self-control.
What way? Help me understand. How can I plug this in so I can understand what it's saying? I'm just testing you. I'm not trying to be smart like that.
You love us, I know you're trying to help us.
Yeah, I really want y'all to kind of dig into what your mind a bit, let this open up to you, because
I think the lake, I think
I think I'm kind of,
I'm pretty kind of, I try to be kind.
I know a lot of times, Brother John, there's things that sometimes I don't always agree with them, but I have to keep my mouth shut, and I think that a lot of that is being me. I don't want to argue back
well,
with
you
you.
hope so, huh? Hope so. All right, hope so. Okay.
I want that good.
And I've been trying to do better.
I think the meek goes with the servanthood here too. The power and control to be me. I can decide to be hard-headed, do my own thing, but I'm willing to submit. Now, I do believe kindness and stuff like that will appear in meekness a lot. But I think meekness and quietness kind of go together. They're kind of like, kind of work together. Now, Sister Jackie's not back here. Can you help?
I would like her to, I would like her definition.
It
Let's pray for that one.
But she's real godly.
says quiet, gentle, easily imposed on, and submissive.
Yeah, and that is, if I'm a meek person, you should be able to approach me. So in this context, it's talking about being submissive. So I think that's what he's talking about. A woman who's willing to serve freely is showing meekness. Again, it's about choosing, willing to let your husband to be honored and let him be the man of the house, the head of the house. And so when you look at that, then it's a quiet spirit. And I think the quiet spirit is kind of what you were hitting on a little bit. This goes together. If I'm serving and I'm serving well, I shouldn't be complaining about it. On the inside or outside, it don't matter. You know, you might not like every decision, but unless it's being disobedient to God, you need to work with that. You need a life in space. I don't mean a wife that has to be like a slave run over. But there's a right way to speak to your husband that shows honor. No, that sounds against the grain. And it is for most. Because, again, as a man, I know when I'm being dishonored. And when I'm being dishonored, it hurts. It takes the wind out of my sails. It really does. And that don't need to happen. And I want to say this before I get into too deep trouble here. We're supposed to honor each other. But you honor the man at the head of the house, and you're willing to be the helpmeet for him. Help him fulfill what God should be laying on his heart for the family to go and do and all that. There's a lot of ways that can happen. But that's the main goal of it, is for the wife to support her husband. And when she shows that willful submissiveness, she's not showing weakness, because meekness is not weakness. She's actually showing strength. She's probably showing more maturity, that she's willing to, okay, what's most important here? Me get my way, or what's the whole? And I promise you that if we probably got back to it, it would change the world. I promise it would change our society big time around here. I got my own opinions about stuff, but I've got a feeling it really would change things. So I think what it really is saying too about the adornment, I don't think you need to just scratch that off. I'm not saying, I don't think Peter was just giving you a list to ignore. But I think he was saying about some things. The plaiting of the hair, the broaded hair, I'm going to say in my mind is the same thing. So I'm thinking, and from what I studied in law, there was some elaborateness that women in those days would do. And again, it was a show-off thing. If I was going to use anything, I would say that's what he's trying to avoid here, is showing superiority or looking like you're better than someone, showing out, bringing attention to yourself, where you wear clothes and don't wear much of them, maybe we won't look at it. And a lot of times when we think about what women wear, we only think, well, as long as you're covered up decently, you're fulfilling the scripture, but there's more to it than that. Because Paul said costly array. So here I am. Moderate means kind of what's average. To be honest with you, it's kind of what's average. So in a way, if society, women dress a certain way, as long as it's not indecent or bringing attention to themselves or any way, kind of a moderate would be like was kind of acceptable, especially women who got godly minds, love the Lord. You know, I know that they're not going to be thinking about dressing in a provocative way or anything of that nature. So maybe this gives you some play and some leeway. It's just the whole spirit is behind it.
I'm not trying to show out.
I'm not trying to appear to be superior. I got more money than you got, and it shows. Man, it shouldn't be like that. It should be about moderacy, you know, that...
Shopping at Walmart, not Second Avenue.
I guess, I don't know. I know what Walmart is, the other one is. Yeah. But, you know, again, I've seen it in churches where women would never, they wear long dresses. I've seen them wear... you would think, well, they're supposed to be trying to be holy, but I know that some of those dresses they probably spent, no telling how much money on those dresses. So I think they missed the point in that as well. So I'm not here to judge. I'm not a clothesline preacher. I don't tell the women what to wear and all that kind of stuff, because I know how women are. If I start making a list, I have to be answering 15,000 questions every Sunday morning about 8 o'clock. Is this okay to wear? Is that okay? I don't want to get in that kind of thing. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be the clothes critic in the church. I think to me, the principle and the guideline is plain enough to look at this. Matter of fact, they don't even mention makeup in this, does it? If you really look at the list, it don't do that. So, even some people, they have their own standards. And I'm going to say people are wrong or right in how they do. If a church can agree on something, that's more power to them. But I think you have to be careful when you're judging people, when you try to hold people to your standard. If they're fitting within the Bible standard, you should leave it alone. That's how I see that. And all that, I was heard one man, this story was told, I got him to his accountant, asked his accountant, he says, can I take off my wife's makeup on the income tax thing? Can I deduct my wife's makeup? He said, sure you can. He said, you can't do that. He said, I don't know why it was a complete loss. So, anyway, that was that. Yeah, went over like a lead balloon, didn't it?
Yeah.
The other preacher got more gas out of it.
Only 2 people in here with the last name.
They didn't laugh out loud, no. They would be quiet and meek.
We ain't gonna say that.
Oh, that gets better. It don't get worse, it gets better. Okay.
You have to go home with me.
I know it.
No, you can't go home with
It'll take me an hour to explain all this in church. It'll take me a week to explain it out. Anyway, look at it gets better. Verse 5. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection to their own husbands. Even Sarah obeyed Abraham, I love this verse, calling him Lord. Ain't that a good phrase? Calling him Lord. I have not yet heard any woman in the church from the beginning of my ministry to this day that has called their husband Lord. I have not yet heard that. Anyway.
I have seen men that,
But brother, I didn't know
I
that.
don't get that.
Brother Richard, don't get me in trouble then.
Ain't any men you're worthy to be called Lord?
Hold on a second, sis.
Okay.
Let's ask biblical
I
questions.
love you.
Let's ask biblical questions. Look, it says,
I
even
gotta look at this.
whose daughters ye are, as long as you do well, and not afraid with any amazement. Okay, what do you think on that statement? Okay, what he's saying is, simply, Abraham, she did call him Lord. She did. There's a reference to that. It's in the Bible.
Brother, but don't you know that little L, that ain't big L?
Brother, don't make it worse. We're on the road. I got them going in one direction. Don't change. Okay, let's look at Genesis chapter 18 and verse 12. So she did call him Lord. I think it's a verse worthy to take time to look at. Get a context. Well, I fall out of my seat. I won't be able to preach that Sunday. If she said that, I'd be like, well. Oh, 911, I'm fixing to go. This is it. I'm going. This must be my last day on earth. Amen. Look at verse 18, 12. Yeah, we do it. Okay, therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am like so shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. See, the Lord. It is a small L, Brother Richard. You do good about mentioning the small L. And I don't think they could handle the capital L at all tonight.
Oh, she called him that, yes, she called him that as she was laughing, okay? So that sounds like a joke right there. Woo! That was a tease.
Well, everybody's got their private interpretation.
She was laughing within herself. Ooh.
problem with that. But there are men that take it to the extreme, and like you said earlier, they act like their wives are supposed to be slaves and you know, like a floor mat that they can wipe their feet on and everything like that. That's where it goes overboard, and that's what turned a lot of women against that whole scripture.
Well, the thing I see, the Bible says for the man to love his wife as Christ loved the church. If you really, if men, let's say, no, let's not say you, let's just say, if men really treated their wives with such, I mean, hey, the marriage seminar we went to one time to learn for the church said, if men would treat wives like the prize that God give them, no telling how good women would treat their husbands back.
You got a good one for that one.
Okay?
Look at Ephesians 5:22.
Oh, I know that's not hard.
You can quote it. I'll say that, you can quote it. I don't know if you know it, but you can quote it.
God told me that one time. I didn't even like it. I did it, but I didn't like it.
Little less than entirely sanctified. Correct.
I'm just being honest.
Look at verse 22. Wives, listen close. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. So, you can read that two ways, right? You can read, one of it is, submit yourself to your husband as you would to the Lord. In other words, put your husband on the same level as the Lord. I don't think so. But if some men convince you of that, more power to them. But anyway, if I think what he's saying that is, when you're submitting to your husband, you're doing it because of the Lord. Your submission to your husband is actually your submission to God. So it's like you were saying, some men are idiots and would take it the wrong way. But if you, we're going to find out sometimes, that's why I say don't be afraid with any amazement, because sometimes women go, oh, I can't do that, you know, I got a problem like that. And then that causes them to just throw up a block to this whole passage of Scripture. And that's where things get all out of whack. I think what he's saying here, like, you do it because it's the right thing to do. If somebody don't do right in response, they're going to have to answer to the Lord for that. But you're doing it as unto the Lord. So whether they're worthy of it or not, you're still, there's no two wrongs don't make it right. And again, you might win that person to the Lord. You might change that person's heart when they see that you're not trying to fight back and get even and play mind games and stuff like that. Did I hit a nerve? Okay, anyway. Bernice, you made me think I hit a nerve. Anyway, moving right along with that. But I think that's what it's talking about, not being afraid with any amazement. Lord, I'm doing the right thing because I trust who you are, and I'm serving you, God. And part of serving you is the submission that you asked me to have toward my husband. Okay?
If you want to stay married, if you really, really want to stay married, you have to learn that on both ends, don't you say? Like a husband be with your wife, and wife submit and give and take, and I mean, we're all not perfect, you know.
If you put the whole context in 1 Peter, this has such a great witness to the world. And that's part of the reason why, another reason too, that we're doing this. Because willing to be submissive. Every child of God's got to be submissive. The husband's got to show honor as well to wife. But when that character is being shown in the church, when they see the love, the harmony, the unity that should be in the church, that speaks volumes. That's witness. Because the truth of the matter is, there's many divorces and separation inside the church as there are on the outside of the church.
That's sad.
So how does church make a big difference? And I tell you, it's not the church that's doing it. It's that the church adopted the same philosophy that people who don't know the Lord has adopted. And again, spending some time with this because I knew in my mind I felt like it was worth going over. Because again, I think there's a lot of, and again, look at this, verse 7. Like someone said, verse 1 through 6, women got 6 more times the attention here than men did. Because they probably got that much more challenge, the willingness to submit. And sometimes things that you have to, I don't know how to say it, just, work with and deal with when you're in a marriage. Sometimes that you got to do the big picture and not just yourself personally. But look at that, verse 7. Likewise, you husband. Now, he don't give us one verse, but he hits us hard. Okay, because there's some things he says. First of all, dwell with them according to knowledge. You heard the story about the guy who went on the beach in California. He's walking around. He kicks up from the lion's lamp. He picks it up and he says, I wonder. So he takes it and he rubs it. The genie pops out. He said, congratulations, sir. You have one wish. Whatever you like. And the man thought about it a little bit and he says, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. I'm afraid of flying. I'm just as afraid of being on a ship. I wish there was a highway between California and Hawaii. The genie says, well, sir, that's my big thing. He said, do you know how long? He said, 3,000 miles? I've got, 1,000 miles. And all the concrete, the work, and all it's going to take to build this highway. He said, sir, I hate to redeem the promise, but is there another wish? He said, I know what you're saying. Let me try another one. He said, I wish I could understand women. And the genie says, would you like that road to be 4 lane or 2 lane? So, y'all heard that one, I got to do it before. Hope I did justice to it. Anyway, we've got a hard job. We've got to live according to knowledge. But I think what the knowledge he's talking about here is biblical knowledge. I think it's what God says about the woman. And so, again, understanding some of this, what he said, goes with this, according to knowledge. So this, what follows to me kind of goes with this knowledge idea that he's presenting to us. Giving honor, respect unto the wife as unto the weaker vessels. This is number one, the weaker vessel. Most commentators say weaker physically. But what God is saying is, that's even more reason to show her the honor. Honor her for who God made her. She's your helpmate. She's a gift from God. She's God's daughter. Amen? So careful how you want to treat her. It's kind of like, yes, I'm the head. If you were in leadership, you know this. You know that, yeah, I may be the leader, but you know how to honor those who serve under you. You know how to get, and that's what it's supposed to be like. And I guarantee you, I've told women this before, there's a lot of things God, he designed us differently. And just because we're different don't mean that one's more important than the other in God's sight. We all have our place and position that we have. And I honor the fact that women are the mothers. They raise their children. I honor the fact that, they have abilities and stuff that men don't have. I honor that and respect women in their place that God created. I honor that by paying honor to that. I'm gonna give way to that. I'm gonna allow that to happen. You know what I mean? And understand that. So a man who's wise, he understands to go by biblical knowledge. Again, they're heirs together of the grace of life. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she's not going to go to heaven, or she's not a child of God. She's just as much a child of God as the man is. We're all children of the Lord, amen. We just got different roles that we are playing in this life, and God has created us differently, but not one is less important than the other. In fact, I think in God's sight, we're all equally important. And again, my submission, I always said that. I learned a long time ago, before I really got out of the Bible, about servant leadership. I was in positions before, working jobs, and I had people working underneath me. And I learned at a young age that, yes, I'm the boss, but I had a greater responsibility. And I had to take care of my employees. I had to take care, make sure I kept things going for them, look after them in a sort of way so that to help them be all that they're supposed to be. And they help me to be all that I'm supposed to be. So when we complement each other. As husband and wife, if we live right, we'll complement each other and we can help each other live the best life that we possibly can for the Lord. I love that war weapon, don't y'all? I love that. I think it's a great movie.
It is.
I really, and the older lady teaching the younger woman, and what she was teaching about praying for her husband, and you can see her bringing out the honor and respect of the husband and stuff. And I was reading somewhere the other day where we talked about Ruth Graham Bell she's talking about Billy Graham's and what it was like to live with him. And she says, my job is to love them. It's God's job to clean them up and make them right. That's how she looked at it. I kind of like that statement a lot. But you got to pray for your husband. You got to pray for your wife. And if you really listen to the Spirit, you're going to complement each other. It's just when we get these personal vibes. Are we good? Or y'all need y'all need some CPR or medication or anything?
You're the one that makes CPR. No, wait till you just do it back.
Am I doing all right? That clear it up or make it worse? Questions?
You was talking about that, working and having people under you. I can bear witness with that too, because over at Pig Sweep in the cultural department over there, I had people under me because I was a supervisor over there. And a lot of times the higher ups were always coming in and they were accusing the people that were working for me and everything. And I went, I stood for it, and I stood against the higher echelon, you might say. And then it was a time that came that we had trucks coming in. This driver came in drinking, he was high and everything, and he went to use some foul language and everything toward me and all this. And after all the time of standing up for them, they came to me and said, "You almost stole him off this stop." And they would have done it. It's kind of like that the same way in marriage. I've been called a few things that was more than but
We get that far down the list.
no, I didn't have that. But it's a two-way street. I mean, the husband has to submit to the wife, and the wife has to submit to the husband. I mean, it's a tradition there, two ways. I mean,
Kind of honoring and stuff like that, though, I mean, doesn't they go along with what you were saying there as far as like, if you have a problem with your husband, that you should not go telling other people about it because isn't that dishonoring him? At least that's what I feel.
But I think now you want Rowdy's commentary.
Okay?
Okay, on this. I think you should never talk. Why they go there for it? I'm trying to get back hard, so I'm going to go a little further with it. Let's see. Well, look, here's Mossy. That dishonors your husband.
Oh, no.
You should, a woman, I promise you, man and woman, either one should do each other this way. You really shouldn't put down your mate in front of anybody else. You shouldn't in any way berate, make them appear to be small or stupid or anything else. You may think that, but you need to be careful how you handle that. And I ain't going to say that I will do some stupid things. I ain't saying dumb things, I'm saying stupid things. We went to that marriage council, big counseling thing one time and talked about women to your husband, sometimes has all these ideas, some of them ain't really great. And then they say, don't go to them and say, well, you must be stupid, you know, because it shuts them down. It will. It'll shut a man's creativity totally down. You can't imagine the influence you have on your husband and on his ability to make decisions, to be creative. You can't even, how you can stifle that real quick. But it did say, you know, he brought out an example, said, well, if he comes up to you and said he wants to buy some big property in the Rocky Mountains, you know. And she said, oh, that's interesting. I've got any pictures. You know. Then the man gets the idea, whoops. So there's a lot of ways to handle things that gets the job done. But I know with me, if I get cut down in front of other people, I feel disrespected. You'll shut me down. And I think the same way with the wife. I think we've probably all been guilty at some point or another doing that. I didn't even realize what we did. I guarantee you the partner did when it happened. So, you know, somebody mentioned the idea about kids. You know, around your children, you're correcting each other in front of your kids that you shouldn't do that. You know, you should be able, you know, not show that disrespect. Respect the authority enough to say, okay, can we talk about this? We need to talk about something here. It's on my mind. It's fine to do that. It's fine to do that, but be careful how you make fun of someone or say stuff that makes that person feel like they just done something stupid or make them feel like they don't measure up to everybody else or whatever, you know. When you do that, you're just hurting people. So that's my approach on this idea about showing respect on that.
Brother Rowdy, most people, they do that, they look worse than you. A whole lot worse than who they're talking about.
Really, you're really right. You really said what you said that. You really did. That's the truth.
It's embarrassing to see somebody say that to their you know, and get into something like that because they look so serious. So,
Hey, you say that a lot. I mean, that's really the truth. Because we was at a wedding one night. Me and Randy sat by a couple, which we didn't know them at all. But that guy just went on and on of how he was taught, don't ever marry a beauty queen, which is why it did look kind of simple, okay, or plain. And he just knew, you know, he wasn't going to marry no beauty queen. He wasn't going to marry no beauty queen. And I know that woman just wanted to crawl under the table because all he would say was, I made sure I married me an ugly woman, you know what I mean? And I wanted to just kick him in the teeth for her. I thought, you stupid man, do you know what you're actually saying? I'm not sorry for her. I'm sorry.
well, he could have been
He
serious.
was ugly too. He was ugly.
He could have been married to a bulldog that chew up, or he could have been married to a chihuahua and had lived through it.
Hey, I felt sorry for her. And I thought,
You said that won't go up.
I'm going to use that for one day.
If you get run off, I'll be out to you, I'll make some money.
hey, you even said, when we got the car, I said, I can't believe that man said all that he did.
I felt like I needed to pull him aside and give him a vacation.
Yeah, but I felt so sorry for his wife, but I thought, you think you look like something? And I know Ray was sitting there just saying, don't let Susie tell the truth. Don't let Susie tell you what she's
And you
saying.
know something?
I almost did. I almost did.
My wife would cut him in two.
Oh,
She cut him with 3 little words. He made look stupid, so stupid.
I
Not
submitted
keep
to Ray.
crossing up.
Keep making a mess.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that goes back to the wearing the jewelry and stuff like that. I mean, personally, I want to look nice for my husband. I don't want to give him the opportunity to have to look at someone else that looks nice and I'm looking like a woman drove out of a sewer or something of it, you know? I'm sorry. I want to keep my husband's attention on me, not someone else.
Well, I don't have no answers for that.
He's on fire. The older we get, we need to doll up a little bit. We have to try a little harder.
This is going sideways, brother.
Yeah, because they sin for some women to wear makeup, it's a sin, and some don't.
That's right.
No, I don't say that.
You already have.
Oh, mercy, it has gone south, it's really gone bad. I think it's here we go.
Moving right
No, I'll be honest with you, I think that word modest is so important, because it means kind of average, what kind of, again, it's not dressing like the world in a showy way and whatever, but it's kind of like average. So I think, if we're women dressing decent, with and being husband, if he's approving of it, I think that's something she should always check with her husband. I know some people even talk about daddies who would, before their girls would go out on a date or whatever, they would give their approval. Oh, you have to find her, or no, you need to make some changes. Well, I think that's a part of, and I'll be honest with you, I dress and everything, I let Sissy kind of like say, hey, what do you think? I'm okay, or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Billy's about 50.
No, he wouldn't take her back. Yes, it's gone south. It's really bad. That deep wear.
Sissy had a good point though about it, when God tells her not to do something other than she won't do it. I mean, that's what happened with me, when we used to go to different churches once a month and everything like that. And, when they came here one time when we had our revival, and God showed me very clearly, with a finger went across, because I used to wear eyeshadow. And I mean, this is just an example. And so, I don't know if I had a dream or whatever, but anyways, I saw God's finger wiping off my eyeshadow, and I have never wore it since then. God let me know that he wasn't approved of that. He wasn't happy with that, so I quit wearing it.
Well, all of us, my whole idea is that any of us is following the lead of the Spirit. And I think as long as I'm not being closed-minded, if I'm closed already, hard-headed, don't want to know the difference, then God can't speak to me. But if I'm open and ask the Holy Spirit, and I'm willing to make changes or whatever, I think that I'm in a place where God can direct me. I do not have to deal with issues. If a sinner lady comes in here and just, comes in, God draws them in, wherever she looks like, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to pray that God's drawing, she is saved. But once a person is saved, then I think you ought to be able, if they got a sensitive heart, to dress according to what everybody's like and fit in well, and ought to be some level of understanding everybody has about what decency is, stuff. So I felt like I was going to spend this whole lesson from verse 1 to 7. I didn't want to get a rush on it, but I've got time even right now, it's 8 o'clock. Is there any? I want to make one comment now, close. One thing I heard Cece say, how are you going to teach this? I thought, that's a great question. I don't even know that. Still don't know how I'm going to do it, Caleb. I just went through tonight. But I got a booklet, and I think this is a good rule. It's on the Church of God. It's got practical commitments. And I'll be glad to give anybody one, if you ain't ever got one, if you want to know it or whatever. But read what it says about modest apparel and stuff, and let that be kind of a guide. Because as a church, a part of the Church of God, there ought to be kind of a unity in spirit and mind and all that stuff. So I don't know if you ever read that and see what it actually says. But it came to my mind today, and I said, well, I'm going to go back and reread that. Now, the obedience, it told you exactly what, not very much to it. But in the new minutes, I think you'll find out it does really fall real good with the Scripture. I think it captures the spirit of it real well. No, I enjoyed it. Thank you for letting me go through that and people still be alive. Thank you, Richard. You're doing the bathroom, not the window. No,
That was good.
that was good. Anyway, I won't pick up next week if the Lord wills. We'll finish up the chapter. Let me tell you, stay ahead. If you want to help me out on this, I want to say from verse 19 to verse 21 at least, there's an interesting, one of the most difficult passages of Scripture to interpret. Okay? So if y'all can think about those verses from 19 to 21 especially, when you read it, you'll see where it all falls in there. And ahead of time, I'd like to see how you read it. It's from the verse 19 to 21. Matter of fact, let me read it, then you study on it. It says, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long-suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is 8 souls, were saved by water. The like figure run to even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience before God by the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I'm not commenting more because it'll take more time, but if you can just make focus, I think the rest of it's going to be kind of it's not difficult just going through it, but that right there it'd be interesting. I like to hear what y'all pray about it, see what you feel like the Lord lays on your heart about it. Amen. Let's pray. Father, we love you. We thank you tonight again, Lord. We humbly, God, accept your word. God, even now, Lord, of the challenges it might present, God, I pray tonight, Holy Spirit, you're able to, Lord, touch our hearts with this, God, and you can say what you want to say to us, Lord. Help us, God, to let the word change us, not us change the word. That's our humble submission to you, Lord Jesus. Holy Spirit, that we may know what is the correct way, not only for ourselves, but for others, God, that we can, with grace, God, be able to teach others well. God, thank you so much for each one here, Lord. You know the needs that their lives, and I just thank you, God, for meeting those needs. Lord, bless us as we go. In Jesus' name, amen.